Hello, my name is Bisa, and today we are finally taking a crack at the first bit of the XDU Advance. God damn it, Pokélabo! Would you look at that? I'm already late on when I promised the guides, and now this happens. We get ourselves the next big story event announced today. A light that pierces the cloud, colloquially known as the Edgebiki event, is coming soon. One thing to note is that similar to One Winged Wielder, it seems like we are getting a special login bonus calendar for the event, as you can see down in the lowest paragraph right here. So look out for that, and remember to log in every day to get your goodies. There's probably going to be a fair amount of songstones in this. Now, just to get it out of the way quickly before we get to the cards, this event's story focuses on Miku, taking place in a world where she couldn't support Hibiki after the Zweiwing incident, making Hibiki sort of an anti-hero lone warrior. Personally, I'm not looking forward to this nearly as much as One Winged Wielder, but since the majority of the fandom actually believes in Hibimiku, most of you are familiar with Symphogear will probably like this story a lot. Anyways, as for the new cards, we are getting a whopping 6 new Symphogear cards with this event. A 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star gacha card for Tsubasa, Kirika, and Hebe respectively, Blue Flash Shatrah, Tyrunt Claw Cheshire Cat, and Delta-style Charming Axle Killer, as well as this event's 3-star gacha Memoria have a warm drink. As for the event cards, there's our first Miku card, Light of Dawn, wielding an X-Drive Shenshojing, and being our first big Rage type card. More on that later. Hibiki's Avidiad Assault, as well as the 4-star normal Shenshojing wielding Welfare Miku, Flash, along with this event's Welfare Memorias, The Place Where I Belong, and the trio's Strong Bond. Like last time, let's start with the Welfare Gear card, Flash Miku. Sadly, she, like Queen's Abyss before, is not very good in my eyes. Her stats are alright for a Welfare card, but heavily lacks attack, and scales incredibly poorly when limit unlocked, as well as her Awakening stats only being HP and defense. Her passives are also little motivation to run her, with her leader skill being a 10% special defense raise on fellow heart units, and her main passive lowering the damage she takes from Symphogear wielders. Her skills, once more similar to Queen's Abyss, make her really situational and hard to use, with her first skill being a plain debuff, reducing all enemies' special attack by 10% and their special defense by 10% if they are a Symphogear wielder. By the way, this focus on ruining the day of other wielders is something you'll find a fair bit with Miku's cards, since that's exactly what Shenshojing does. Her main skill does try to offset the lack of a damage-dealing first skill by being a 4-target AoE. I'm sorry if you can hear my roommate in the background, this is really annoying. Anyways, her main skill does try to offset the lack of damage-dealing first skill by being a 4-target AoE. But it's low damage, starting at only 110% and going up to only 170% at 6-star level 10, along with her already really low attack stat. Though once more, she has the added debuff against Symphogear wielders of lowering their crit damage by 10%. Even with all this useless looking stuff, however, I wouldn't necessarily say she's trash. Although I think you could fill a slot with something much more worthwhile, I do feel she's worth at least the experiment of taking her with you into PvP as a supportive debuffer. Tech types are in a very good place but right now, and with her being a heart unit, she counters those, while also having no counters herself, since we don't have any worthwhile dexes yet. Anyways, spent way too much time on that one. Let's fly through the other gacha units really quickly. Delta-style Charming Axle Killer. Solid stats for an event gacha 3-star, passives raising body types crit rate and making herself immune to seals, with her skills giving a self buff or being a self buff that allows her to have a multi-attack chance, as well as a low damage 2-target AoE that can seal enemies. Tyrunt Claw Cheshire Cat, pretty good stats with a great attack value, with her passives raising any tech allies' defense and reducing the damage she takes from power types. Her first skill is a single target medium high damage skill that also raises all allies' crit rate, with her main skill having just slightly better damage while reducing the damage she takes from powers like her passive does. I can't talk today. Blue Flash Shatrah, very well balanced stats for a 5-star, passives increasing Dex allies' physical attack and raising her own crit damage, with both her skills being mid to high damage single target attacks that ignore physical shields and raise your tech's special attack and reduce your enemy's special defense, respectively. Now, after that quick fire round, let's get into the two main cards of the event. Being Hebe's Avidya Assault, that has stats similarly well balanced to Tsubasa's new card, although her speed rises drastically throughout limit breaks, and her awakening stats mean that she focuses a lot more on crit rate, hitting 33% at full awakening. Her leader skill raises any tech type's special attack by 15%, while her passive raises her own crit damage by 10 to 20%. Her skills basically make her a direct counterpart to Blue Flash Shatrah, with the first skill dealing slightly less and the main skill dealing slightly more damage, and damage types reversed, dealing special damage and ignoring special shields, while raising tech allies' physical attack with her first and lowering enemies' physical defense with her main skill. Now, Miku's Light of Dawn marks a really interesting point, being as previously mentioned our first really good rage card. Nirvana Magog is a thing and was completely broken on JP, yes, but the newer PvP system we have now makes her pretty bad. This Miku, however, no such thing. Neatly balanced attack and defense stats, boasting an HP pool that hopefully balances her weakness as a rage type out fairly well, although she doesn't scale well when with limit unlocked. You probably won't run her as your leader either, since she just raises other rage types' attack by 10%. And what other rages are you gonna run? Her passive, however... oh boy. She heals herself by 20% of her own max HP for every enemy she defeats, with the value going up to 30% at full awakening. This is what makes her really strong. She can offset the high damage she gets from everything by killing stuff herself, which heals her. Her skills are also pretty solid. Her first skill is once more a mid to high damage single target attack that raises all allies' attack by 13 to 45% regardless of type, and her main skill is a high damage all enemy AoE with a considerably low cooldown that reduces all hit Symphogear units' defense by 15 to a whopping 40%. Overall, these are some really interesting cards. Myself being unfamiliar with the limit unlocking meta that we were thrust into, it's going to be interesting to see how the reality will differ from my expectations. I think that even with her poor LU stats, we will still see Light of Dawn a fair bit, at least for that first honeymoon phase where everyone is checking out the new cards. I don't think we'll see too much of the other cards though. Charming Axel and Cheshire Cat simply don't bring much to the table, being too focused on themselves and simply poorly sensical tactics, and Shatrah and Avidya Assault both being a little too specific to find good widespread use. But that's only my 5 cents. As always, I encourage you to try things yourself if you can get your hands on these cards. Personally, I myself will be rolling for Miku since I just really want to see how she performs in this odd time-mixed meta that we're currently in. Otherwise, that's been it. I'm currently finishing the last touches on the script for the first proper advanced guide, which is primarily going to be about a look into the future, what kind of events that are going to be coming at us in the foreseeable future, and what you might want to save up for or roll on, though there's another, like, episode 0 to the guides coming out before that, where I want to go over how I want to handle the way that I make the guides, because there's a little thing there where I kind of feel uncomfortable going in telling people how to play this game without explaining why I'm making the choices that I'm making and telling people how to do this stuff. Yep, sorry. But anyways, that's been it for now. I'll see you next time. I do hope I get to stream this weekend. No promises though, I'm sorry. Otherwise, yeah, my name's been Bisa, and have a good one.